first 12 verses there, and we listen to this. As Jesus was walking along, he saw a man who had been blind from birth. Teacher, his disciples asked him, why was this man born blind? Who was it? Was it a result of his own sins or those of his parents? It was not because of his sins or his parents' sins, Jesus answered. He was born blind so the power of God could be seen in him. Whoa. All of us must quickly carry out the task assigned us by the one who sent me, because there is little time left before the night falls and all work comes to an end. But while I am still here in the world, I am the light of the world. Then he spit on the ground, made mud with the saliva, and smoothed the mud over the blind man's eyes. He told him, go and wash in the pool of Siloam. Siloam means sent. So the man went and washed and came back seeing. His neighbors and others who knew him as a blind beggar asked each other, is this the same man, the beggar? Some said he was. Others said, no, but he surely looks like him. And the beggar kept saying, I am the same man. They asked, who healed you? And what happened? He told them, the man they called Jesus made mud and smoothed it over my eyes and told me, go to the pool of Siloam and wash off the mud. I went and washed, and now I can see. Where is he now? They asked. I don't know where he is. I wondered what Joanne was looking at. Thank you. That was kind of nice. I hope it was the same version I was reading.
Close.
Pretty close.
Okay.
Pretty close.
Pretty close. Are taking a risk. Are all of you comfortable in taking a risk? I'm not. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm not very risk-taking. And yet when I was putting this message together, I was thinking of J.R. and Aaron. Here they came out to little tiny Beaver City. I don't know what drew them here other than a jobs, you know, and J.R. is expanding the businesses and doing all these things, and they have two little ones, and I'm thinking, what a risk to leave parents and friends and family members and to come out here and to take a risk. But you know what I said to J.R. when I came and he was going to do this videotaping and the story? I said, when did the church put this up there? And he said, oh, I think it's been here when they built the church. But they never use it. I said, you know what? The church is very fortunate to have you folks here, that you can do this for them. And you know what J.R. said to me? He said, we're very fortunate to have them because they've been good to us. And that's what, you know, sometimes when we do take a risk, that we reach out and we have to have somebody that will take us in. It's a scary thing. I left Arapahoe from teaching Arapahoe, and Gail and I went to Ainsworth, and we packed everything up, and we moved, and I started a new job, a new position in Ainsworth, Nebraska. In the middle of nowhere, they call it. And I was there, and I was working with the service unit, and I was doing staff development. They'd never done that before. And I wasn't prepared for what I was about to come up against. But you see, there were some people in Ainsworth that took Gail and I in that cared for us. Two older couples. Gail would go visit them, one couple would call and say, hey, why don't you come over and eat with us? And we'll play cribbage. And we did. And we played cribbage. And before we would go home, we'd say, well, it's time for us to go home. And Anna Mae would say, nope. Nope. We have to have coffee and dessert. That was the old Danish thing. And we had coffee and dessert before we went home. But you see, that was the thing of taking a risk, but you find out that there's someone to care for you, that is there to take care of you. And I look at you folks in this church. You've done the same thing for us. We took a risk, and you have helped us. There was the blind man. He took a risk. And Jesus walked up, and Jesus took a risk to heal this man. The Pharisees didn't like it because they were jealous. They were prejudiced. Well, who healed you? Well, he can't do that. Making mud and doing that was against their laws to be able to do it. I don't know where it says it, but in some commentaries it says that Jesus healed him on a Sunday. It doesn't say that. But that he healed him, and he went to the pool, and he washed off the mud, and he could see. The Pharisees didn't like that because Jesus was encroaching into their ministry. The people, the neighbors, are you the same man? Well, yeah, I'm the same. Nah, he just looks like somebody. But they didn't understand. They were blind, as the Pharisees were blind. You see, that can be life for us. Sometimes we're so blind that we don't see the things. What is it we say? We can't see the things in front of us for the trees, for the forest. And it's in life, all of a sudden things come to mind, and you go, oh yeah, yes, that's what it is. That's what it is. I've said this before, like when in reading scriptures, and you look and you say, when did they put that in the Bible? I don't remember that. It's like, aha, that's it. That reminds me. After Sunday, remember what I talked about? What was the title of the sermon last Sunday? Serendipity. Mm-hmm. And on the news, they were interviewing some person, and he said that they found a cure, something that would work for the coronavirus. And it was a cancer treatment. It was like a capsule or a vaccine that was going to take some time to develop it. And they said there on the news, they said it was a serendipitous moment. It was a discovery that went, aha, that's it. That will work. And that's when, the blindness can all of a sudden leave us. And so, the parents of this poor man, they were blamed. The disciples said, well, who's to blame for this man because he's blind? Who sinned? We do believe that many, many years ago that there were people that actually believed that. Well, they lost a child, they did this or did that. It's because they sinned. It's because they sinned. My mom said that to me one time. She said, the reason they have this child is because they sinned. I said, no, Mom, God's not like that. God doesn't do that. People, it's like the things in the world. So-and-so's to blame. It's all Scott's fault because such and such is going on. No, it's not. God doesn't want that. You know, people are saying, well, a friend of mine called me up yesterday and he said, yeah, on Fox News they're saying, where's God in all this? Where's God in all of this disaster, this whole world situation? People have said to me, well, why does God allow people to be killed? God doesn't want that. God doesn't allow that. We're the ones. You know, God gave us the decision, the wisdom, the direction, and how to lead our lives. And it's up to us. Because we're so blind that we don't see those things. And we want to know. We want to know. And when we're just like the man who had the mud put on his eyes, and then he began to see. You see, there's the physical blindness, and there is the spiritual blindness. You remember when you got your glasses? When you got your first set of glasses? I do. I remember that. I remember the old chart when the school nurse, of course, some of you kids don't know school nurses, but you remember the chart that they put up, cover. Okay, you know, and remember the big E up at the top. And there was a person, a young man, who said, came to the nurse and she said, can you read? Well, he said, to be honest, he said, I memorized that first letter because I heard the other students talking about it. It's an E, but I can't see it. I was like that when the school nurse came and I was in 8th grade and she said, what letters can you read? And I'm going, oh yeah, up here. You know, it's kind of like when you go to the eye doctor and he shows you all that stuff. Can you read? Well, I think. And I remember, you know, then the nurse sends home a note to the folks. George needs to have his eyes examined. He needs to go see the eye doctor. And we did. 2 weeks later, I got my glasses, and I remember, I kid you not, I was in 8th grade, and I remember that I was so physically blind that when I got my glasses and we drove home, I said, oh gosh, there are leaves on the trees. And it was amazing. I could see things on the chalkboard at school, the old blackboard, you know. Yeah. I could see. Physically, I could begin to see what was there and what I was missing. And then it isn't until that Christ, that when you wash off the mud out of your lives, and Jesus is there, and you begin to see spiritually what you've missed. How you missed things in your life when Christ wasn't there. You know, and the situation that we have going on today in this world, all over. I just think that God is saying, okay, folks, it's time you put aside your differences. And you come together and you work this out together. You see, some Japanese doctors, research people came into the United States to help put things together. Look at the companies that are making masks and respirators and all that. They're changing and they're doing this because we need to come out of the darkness and come together and to work this out. I don't know how the world is going to change after this situation is cleared up, just like the 9/11, the terrorist bombing. I mean, yeah, it's changed our life. But God says, you know, I didn't cause this. But you can glorify me when it's done. Remember that I am with you always, and I am here to be with you. And I will help you come through this. I have given you the wisdom. I am giving you the knowledge. The things to do to correct this. There's a man that runs a newspaper down in Clay County, Sutton. And he is concerned about all this. And my neighbor Ted calls me up and he said, come over here, I need to talk to you about this. Okay. He said, Tori, the publisher of the newspaper down there, is going to run this week a page in the paper that's going to be totally blank. Ted says, what do you think about that? And I said, well, this is what I think about that the people need to take that sheet of paper and he needs to put across their top, how can I help somebody? What can I do during this time that I am in isolation? You think about that. How can you spiritually begin to see what you can do, we can do, to help those who are spiritually blind to Christ? Spiritually blind that need to know that there are people. I've been thinking about the things that I could possibly do to help people, to help someone, to help myself, to whatever. Heaven forbid, sit down and write a letter to somebody that you haven't written to. Make a phone call. Send a text. Clean out a closet. Go find a drawer that handy person drawer that you shoved everything in. Pull it out and clean it out. That's what you can do. Go through your clothes and say, when was the last time I wore this? Do I need this? Yeah. I'm working on that. Because, you begin to see that there are things that can open up your eyes to help. Like the thank you note I read. You reached out to this young family with a baby girl. It's so great. I'm sure this is happening in the big cities too, that people are coming together and helping each other. You look at the people that are, the person that's preparing meals and taking them to people or giving them out for, the stuff that, is the school giving out stuff for the kids to eat?
Not yet.
Not
We're
yet.
gonna
Start, yeah.
We're gonna start. If they keep closing.
Yeah. Will we get through this? What do you think, Marcia? Will we get through it?
I think we will.
We will. Prayer? Yeah. Pray for somebody. Sit at your table and look out the window. Listen to the birds, the robins are singing. Life is going on. It's just changed a little bit. God says, hey, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here with you. Yoo-hoo. Talk to me. Talk to me for a while. Put Facebook over here, but talk to me. And we're okay. We just need to set some things aside. Kind of like, when the electricity goes off. Boy, then we are in the dark. Mm-hmm. This is the time to pray for somebody, to share with somebody, bake some cookies for somebody, or bread, or whatever. Share with them. It may be quiet, but it doesn't have to be. But just know that Jesus, as he was with the blind man, that he shared the spiritual sight, that the man could see Christ, not only physically, but spiritually, because Christ was there with him.